fourth quarter of 1997, 24 U.S. Airways employees and I formed the US-2 Task Force. Our goal was to create a complete operating plan for a low-cost carrier at U.S. Airways. After benchmarking competitors, hosting employee focus groups, conducting consumer research, and testing every policy that would affect our new low-fare, low-cost brand, we were able to announce MetroJet by U.S. Airways. Our first day of operation was flawless. We operated a load factor in the 70s with 100% on-time performance. MetroJet continues to exceed its operational objectives and traffic projections. On a recent day, we operated with over a 90% load factor and maintained a greater than 90% on-time performance. Our customers have had a very positive response to MetroJet. In a recent survey, service attitude, on-time performance, and fast, efficient check-in were rated the top 3 most liked attributes about MetroJet. MetroJet is working. By year end, we will have grown to 22 aircraft. In 1999, we will have 54 aircraft in the MetroJet network, a significant part of the U.S. Airways family of products. This video will provide you answers and information related to why we need MetroJet, how the employee task force designed MetroJet, and the differences between MetroJet and U.S. Airways. We look forward to your participation on the team that is making MetroJet the low-fare carrier of choice.
Over the past 10 years, the airline industry has experienced a substantial decline in average airfare. The decline on the West Coast has been the most evident and powerful, but this trend is rapidly expanding toward U.S. Airways' key East Coast markets. Low-fare carriers set their sights on our territory, and it became necessary for U.S. Airways to respond to this competitive threat. In 1993, Southwest began service out of Baltimore with 8 flights a day. Today, they have over 74 departures to many U.S. Airways destinations. Southwest's no-frill service drove down fares. At the time, U.S. Airways responded to the low-fare demand, but still delivered a higher-cost product. Southwest's philosophy has been to grow 10% per year. In 1987, Southwest operated 55 aircraft system-wide. Currently, they operate 267 aircraft. Creating a large presence at BWI is integral to their growth strategy. This includes creating a pilot crew base, obtaining additional gates, and implementing more routes. It became clear that we had to protect our territory. In markets where U.S. Airways had previously been making money, we found that we were no longer competitive. Time was critical for U.S. Airways to launch a value-priced product to compete with low-fare carriers. This led to the creation of an employee task force charged with developing a product to compete head-to-head in the low-fare market. On November 12, 1997, U.S. Airways' 21st Task Force gathered for the first time. The 25-member team, representing nearly every aspect of the company, began planning, starting from scratch. Brainstorming was the first item on the agenda. Fact-based analysis became the order of business. With this in mind, a mission statement was established: to serve the low-fare demands of the marketplace effectively while competing at a profitable level against low-cost carriers. After meeting for the first time, the members of the US-2 Task Force were required to participate in a walk-a-mile program. For 3 days, each member began working in other areas of the company. Each member was able to see how their role affected coworkers. By gaining a greater perspective, they came back with the idea for a competitive product. The walk-a-mile program was productive and valuable, but more research had to be done. It was necessary to gain an understanding of the low-cost market. What were we competing against? The task force had to research other profitable and successful low-fare carriers to see what worked. This meant evaluating 114 flights on low-cost carriers, Delta Express, Southwest, and Shuttle by United. The task force purchased tickets via the internet, through travel agencies, ticketing machines, and the reservations desk. An 11-page document detailing the other carrier's operation from the customer's perspective was completed for every flight. The team evaluated the complete customer experience, including the purchase of tickets, check-in, boarding, in-flight service, and operational factors like communication between employee groups. The task force also rethought the reservation process. Hundreds of calls were made to our own reservations number as well as to our competitors. Every phone call was broken down into seconds. How long did it take to greet the customer? Was a confirmation number given? The research concluded that a new philosophy would have to be applied to our low-fare brand. A new process was drafted and tested in our own reservation centers. Qualitative focus groups were conducted to gain input from travelers as well as separate employee focus groups. Quantitative research was done through surveys sent to our Dividend Miles members. Finally, the group conducted additional outside research through industry and academic studies. Once the new ideas were presented, the task force proceeded in testing new processes on our mainline flights. 64 boarding tests were conducted using different boarding procedures. It was important not only to have a theory, but to test in the real world. The task force held a contest among employees to select the name. 83 days after forming the US-2 task force, MetroJet by US Airways was announced. MetroJet brings a distinct low-fare product to the US Airways family. By adding MetroJet to our other brands like Envoy Class, we create a world-class global carrier capable of meeting the needs of a wide variety of travelers. You will notice a difference in the aircraft. MetroJet operates a fleet of 737-200 aircraft featuring a distinctive red livery. The red aircraft begins to forge a separate brand identity, while the blue tail with the stylized flag symbol reinforces that MetroJet is not a startup carrier, but the product of an established airline. MetroJet by US Airways provides a single-class 118-seat configuration. One class is easier and less expensive to serve. Prior to boarding a MetroJet flight, each customer goes through the same check-in process. Seat assignments are available on the day of departure at the airport. Starting with a clean seat map gives customer service greater control over the boarding process. Additionally, boarding passes are only issued at the departure gate. This ensures that all customers see the gate agent. Tickets are collected at the time our customers check in. As the adage goes, time is money. The task force found this to be true in nearly every aspect of testing. One noticeable difference from our mainline product is the fleet service agent driving the jetway when an aircraft arrives. The extra 5 to 7 minutes that it takes to wait for the aircraft to arrive, park, and place the jetway is valuable time the customer service agent needs to process the 118 customers at the gate. The customer service agent will still remove the jetway for flight departure. MetroJet's in-flight service is unique as well. Flight attendants take orders by zone with special order forms designed for MetroJet. Once the drink orders are taken, snacks are served and drinks follow. The snack item depends on the type of flight. Before flight arrival, proactive measures in the cabin include the collection of trash and newspapers. This task performed in flight has a direct impact on the time it takes to turn the aircraft. Cost savings is a significant issue with our MetroJet product. From the length of time on a reservations call,
MetroJet by US Airways, this is Sherry.
all the way through to aircraft utilization and ground time. The savings in ground time starts with communication. The primary focus for MetroJet is to be consistent and proactive, trying to stay one step ahead of the operation. Control as much as you can, don't react to it. A good example is the communication that occurs between dispatchers and central load planners 2 hours prior to each flight. Constant teamwork, in fact, has become a hallmark of MetroJet service. To better understand this concept, we need to take a look at what happens in the station for each flight. Customers with baggage check in with SkyCaps or at the ticket counter. The cutoff time for bags is 20 minutes at all MetroJet locations. All customers requiring assistance are pre-staged at the jetway door, and final check-in of customers is completed. The orchestration is tuned up and ready to go. As the MetroJet aircraft taxis in, the fleet service agent is staged to pull up the jetway. The utility agent is staged aircraft right with air stairs. Catering is staged in catering cities, aircraft left. Belt loaders are ready. All bags checked in prior to cutoff will be staged ramp side. As customers deplane, the utility agent follows the last customer through the cabin to clean. As cleaning is winding down, customers requiring special assistance are pre-boarded. This is done without an announcement. 20 minutes prior to scheduled departure, boarding begins, 3 rows at a time.
Passengers seated in rows 17 through 19 may now board.
Depending on the flight, the boarding pass inspection is done by a flight attendant or customer service agent. On originating flights, there is a flight attendant forward, mid, and aft cabin to assist customers with stowing baggage. Finally, flight closeout is the same as mainline. By applying policies that are more efficient to a higher aircraft utilization product, the end result is nothing short of spectacular. MetroJet by US Airways has captured employee pride. It is a product that is providing seamless service to our customers. It is a product that will be studied as a benchmark in the low-fare market, a low-fare brand delivered with high-quality service. Employee-designed MetroJet is committed to permanently compete in the low-fare market with outstanding performance and professional service. MetroJet, a quality product in a low-fare environment.